Hi Soul Fam, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel, Spiritual Dowsey. I'm Dowsey LeMay, your host. I hope you are all doing great out there during this very beautiful, intricate time shift that we are going through. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for taking time out of your beautiful day to watch this, and I hope it helps you. And if it does, feel free to subscribe and follow me at my other social media platforms in the description box below. And if it doesn't resonate with you, just leave it. These just happen to be my truths, my opinion. They don't need to be yours. Okay, so before I go any further, go out and check out my book, Becoming the Creator. I think this is a powerful guide to help you in your spiritual journey, your spiritual awakening, especially during our current now moments. Go check it out on my website, spiritualdowsey.com or amazon.com or wherever other online retail out there. Okay, so this is an energy insight into where we are currently, February 2025. And I wanted just to give you my opinion of what's happening out there from my perspective. There's lots of fear right now. Lots of fear here in the US, especially with one group or another. But I'm hearing it from all different angles, different perspectives. And this is regards to, one, obviously the governmental structure, our current administration here in the US, but also, you know, in many different countries as well, going through a shift in their government structures as well. And I'm hearing words and phrases like coup and constitutional crisis and control and privacy. I mean, you name it, it's happening. It's happening everywhere in every structure that we have as a society. And this is my take on it. This is my feeling on it. And I wanted to share it basically from three different levels. And we're going to go from kind of hierarchy, from higher energetic all the way down to your personal human container. So the first being, I'll address it from what I think from a spiritual vibrational standpoint. The second being the spiritual to material physical reality, especially around our financial structures that we live in. And then the last being spirituality relating to our personal power. So those are the three things I'm going to address it from, being spirituality in vibrational, the spirituality in relationship to the physical material world, especially around our structures, but around the financial piece, and then spirituality relating to your personal power. So let's take the first one, spirituality relating to vibrations that we are experiencing. It's my belief and my feeling that the natural order of energy, the natural order of things that vibrationally want to move is from lower to higher. All right. For example, right, it takes less energy for you to smile than it does for you to make a frown. Right? It's higher vibration. Happiness is a higher vibration than being angry, and it takes less energy to smile than it does to be angry and to make a frown, right? You use more muscles to frown than it does to be happy. So for you to move up in vibration, it takes less energy and things want to move faster, okay? Collectively, we are moving hierarchically up. We are moving up in energy. There are many things, I think, anecdotally, that can prove or give you insight into this. Number one, the Schumann resonance, which is a measure of basically the vibrational standpoint of the earth. Now, many of you, I'm sure, who follow me, follow other people, especially with regards to information regarding the Schumann resonance. That has been absolutely off the charts. If you think about the human state of being, right, and the different wavelength that your brain's in with regards to active versus being dormant, etc. The earth kind of has the same thing with the Schumann resonance, and it seems like the earth is actually really active and really awake. Okay, we're seeing whiteouts across the charts. Unbelievable amplitude and energy being shown in the Schumann resonance, right? Which leads to what's happening right now on the earth plane, right? We're seeing lots of changes with the earth. Earthquakes, volcanoes, water movement, weather, etc., right? Massive change happening there. And then we're also getting the sun activity, which has been bombarding with us with so much coronal mass ejections and high energy from the sun, right? Also, think about time. Time seems to be picking up for a lot of people. It's almost like we're moving through a wormhole in a sense. It feels like one day it's, the beginning of the year, 2025, and next thing you know, we're almost coming to an end in February. How quickly that has moved for us. So we are constantly being bombarded, increasingly, ever so more, with higher frequencies. And you can see that and hear it as well, right? Hearing ringing in your ears. A massive amount of us have been hearing more ringing in our ears, which is a sign of the energy picking up. So we are energetically sourcing from the universe a different vibrational pattern than what we have done in the past, what we have previously been in the past, which has been a standing wave vibrationally that is much lower than where we are currently and moving to. I want you to think about this in terms of what we're experiencing collectively, right? We are accessing information vastly different than what we have in the last decade or even the entire history of our civilization thus far, right? The internet, the connectivity with Wi-Fi and cell phones. Think about esoteric information that we're getting access to, right? This is information to your intuition, your parallel lives, intelligence, gnosis, all that stuff. Have you noticed it? Have you noticed how much your intuition has picked up? We are sourcing energy, our connection from source at a higher level of conscious and a higher level of speed than what we have in the past. So spiritually and vibrationally, this means huge amounts of shifts and changes for us individually and collectively on this planet. Your little box that you have built around yourself is collapsing, especially from the collective, and what most people who aren't on this path are going to feel and come to a realization with. But this is all good. This is all a good thing, right? If you read my book, you remember in the first chapter I talk about a story of me and having this vision about me recollecting the fragments of myself that I had lost when I incarnated into this earthly realm, right? This whole process that we are going through is to help us reconnect with the Godhead, with our divine, our divinity, right? To remember our power and what we are as children of God. Unfortunately for many of us, that comes with a great many shakings and heartaches for the individual and groups and the collective. You will see more and more of this because it needs to be so. You have lived in this dream of being disconnected and separate from source, and that timeline is coming to an end as the ego in the dream collapses so that we may return back to source and remember who we are. All right. Also, let's not forget, I talked about this earlier in a previous video with regards to the numerology for this year. This is a 9 numerology year. That is a major energetic number. That means major closings, major endings of cycles, learning your lessons, applying those lessons, right? This means the collapsing of the old guard so that you can move to the new beginning. New times are ahead. But for you to do that, for us to do that, the cycle must come to an end, and you will start to see that happening, as well as some of the new stuff start to come through as we move through this reality. That hopefully gives you, from the spiritual vibrational sense, what is happening from my purview. We are seeing a rise in the tide, which lifts all boats. And for some of those who are willing to let go of those heavy density things, you will float a lot better versus sinking as the tide rises, okay? So that brings us to the second point that I'm going to talk about regarding to the spirituality and how it starts to manifest physically, or what I feel manifests in the materialistic world, especially around the financial structures and the government structures that we're in. Well, if you haven't had your head stuck in the sand, right, you've probably seen the grand shifts basically happening across the board. Massive shifts happening across the board. It's really not that hard to see. One of the things recently, especially in the US, which seems to be under great tension in the financial structures, but not only the financial structures, the financial markets, the financial institutions, but it's just basically the way we access finances and money, in a sense, the flow of money and how it's being used, it seems to be going through a restructure. Okay, a lot of people are concerned about it. One of the things that has popped up recently, and you're hearing a lot of noise about it here in the U.S., is especially around the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, right? There are all people on whatever side of the fence that you are on, or even in the middle, that are making great amount of noise about this, whether you think it's positive, but a lot of it around the fear aspect. Okay. I'm not so sure around the belief about the fear aspect of it. All right. When you take a step back, you got to see this from an energetic standpoint. And I just think it's a little bit different than what people are fearful about, right? First, you have to understand, in this time period, all that has been hidden, right? Because you can't carry hidden stuff, dark things, into a new energy, right? Into a new vibration. You can't carry that into it. So all that has been hidden, all that has been low vibration, needs to come out into the light. It shall be revealed into the collective consciousness for us to integrate. So when you think about what DOGE is doing, the Department of Government Efficiency, you step back and you look at it, and you sit there and go, wow. You have to consider that the entire government has been using funds hidden in the dark for all sorts of reasons. A lot of it seems to be around money laundering and nefarious stuff. But, yes, there were some good things it could have been used for, but certainly the realization of what our government, especially here in the US, and I'm sure it's the same for all the other countries out there, is that right under our noses, there's been an enormous amount of waste, fraud, misuse, abuse, etc. All right. So if anything that you should be thankful for is the idea that this energy that has come about is bringing a transmutative fire that is allowing stuff to come to the surface, to be transmuted and to be brought into the light, to see where all the corruption, the misuse, the abuse, etc., and those that have been involved with it into the light so it can be transmuted. You cannot carry that into a higher energetic level. Okay? The other thing I want to outline with kinds of what's happening, what feels like what DOGE is doing, is if you ever think about in the financial world, when a company or corporation that is no longer profitable goes bankrupt. Okay? When a company goes bankrupt, they get held into court, and I can't think of the term for it specifically, but the court proceedings allows it through a trust to be dismantled, sold off, all the parts that aren't profitable, that are waste, that no longer serve the corporation, so that it can what? Come out of bankruptcy as a new and leaner and more a better company, right? That's what bankruptcy is basically helps people do. It helps corporations. It helps you restructure and reorganize, right? Restructure, reorganize to become a lot better performing corporation out of bankruptcy, right? That feels like what the U.S. is basically kind of going through. We are being brought into the light about what has been happening. We are now restructuring to match the vibrational energy that we, all of us collectively, are sourcing energy from. And if you think about this, you cannot run a country with this much debt burden that we're carrying. We're $36 trillion of debt the last time I checked. And there was one point we were doing $100 billion of debt every 100 days, adding to the deficit, right? Our debt servicing, which is the amount of money it takes just to service that debt, was higher than our military spending, which is an enormous amount of money, by the way. You can't run a corporation or a business or a country when you are completely debt-ridden and burdened, right? You got to go through a restructuring. And to me, this feels like what this is happening. And I, for one, am optimistic and look forward to see what's happening, because it may be something very beneficial for a lot of us as we go forward, right? So it is to me what we're seeing from a financial standpoint, but government standpoint, right at this moment with Doge, is just basically a restructuring of energy that can meet where we are as we move up vibrationally. Now, there's clearly to me a sign of kind of how we are calling to the universe to source abundance, to source our power, our sovereignty, our ability to create in a much different way than what we have in the past, right? We are sourcing abundance from the universe differently. We are calling from that. We are calling for that from source, God, whatever you want to call it. And from what I can tell, a lot of this is happening at the moment. You may not be able to see it, but you're seeing the old guard collapse, and you're seeing the new forms start to take place. And one of those forms, to me, happens to deal with the idea of a digital format that's coming for many of us. Now, clearly, that strikes fear into a great many of you around digital and money and control and privacy, etc. I just want to give you my 2 cents on this. Because, when you talk about this stuff, right, as a Reiki master, you're talking basically about attacking the root chakra, right? The root chakra. And if you listen to me and you know anything about the chakra system, what is the root chakra all about? From my perspective, it's the node, a red emulation of energy about safety, about finances, about security, about getting your needs met. And when you see the financial structure being under pressure, getting shifted around, and major things breaking down, what do you get? You get so much fear, you get so much anger, you get so much angst and anxiety that shows up. And what happens in the new mainstream media and all this other stuff, blah, 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 right? Nonsense, fear. It just drives you into a hole, and you become like a rabid animal defending yourself. Okay, so people are scared. People are fearful about what this could bring. Maybe I'll give you a different perspective on this, but we have been programmed in some way, and I don't blame a lot of us, because I was part of that too, in the old energy, since it's been foretold in the past that the implementation of these digital things leads to social credit system, control systems, etc. Right? China happens to be one of those platforms that I think a lot of people reference, etc. But if you think about it, you're talking about they're fearful of the information, they're fearful of control mechanisms, privacy, blah 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 blah. I want you to think about where that sits with all of you guys vibrationally. For all of you, where does that sit vibrationally for all of you? And then just logically, intuitively think, okay, that may have been an old structure, and what was basically the premonition of that in the old structure would lead us to. But I definitely feel we have moved into a different timeline. And if you're moving up in vibration, as I have cited as we've gone through this conversation, what is that structure that I just explained here about control and social credit and all that other stuff built into that fear box that people were talked about? Where does that sit vibrationally? Does that match kind of like how we are moving upwards vibrationally, spiritually, consciously? No, it doesn't match that way to me, okay? Part of me understands that, but you got to look at this perhaps in a different perspective. Now, we already have a lot of this digital footprint already laid out for all of us, right? Regards to money. right? A lot of what you deal with in your money isn't even in paper form anymore. It's credit cards, it's transfers, it's looking at online, all that stuff. So we already have that part. Have you been complaining about that? No, not necessarily. Did it bother you then? Does it bother you now? For most of you, probably no, right? And sure, there are fears that someone says, oh yeah, they're going to be able to turn this off and all these kind of things. But new laws are coming through, new structures are coming through that allow you to have a lot more control over that compared to an institution, centralized, etc. Everything that we have gone through in the old past, the old energy, is all centralized in control. And I think what we're going through is a decentralizing, a leveling of the playing field for many of us. And that, to me, is coming through a digital platform, especially with regards to cryptocurrency and the things we're playing out. But if we were going to go through that social credit structure control mechanism, 2020 and 2021 was the testing ground for that. And I'm going to let you know that whole test was a huge kickback to the agenda energy that was trying to implement that system. It is like, to me, it feels like it's been a huge kickback, and that timeline has been completely transmuted and crushed. It's like no longer on that platform anymore. Yeah, there are probably last straws and grasps to get at it, but that thing is, to me, energetically not there as much. And it just requires you to get out of the fear mechanisms that keep you in there so that you don't keep building upon that energy that no longer really is there, okay? So with regards to your information, right? You talk about privacy, control of your information. What isn't already public about you out there, right? Social security number, your FICO score, all these different things. It's already there. It's all over the place in the internet. You already have a social credit system that already monitors you. Now, they were probably laying the bricks and the road for the system that they wanted to, but I think those things are being brought down again through the testing of 2020, 2021. A lot of these things, I think, had huge, major kickbacks that aren't going to work. They're just not going to work, right? They tried to do the vaccine mandate. They tried to do a vaccine travel thing. They tried to control all these other things, and a lot of that control mechanisms have been kicked back and brought down a lot of the agendas that I think were in place or trying to get in place. So think about this as the old energy that was. And what we're going through is no longer that. We are at a different standpoint as we go forward. So if you want to say, like, a lot of that control mechanisms were done through intermediaries, like centralized institutions and groups, which had like monopoly-like grips, right? If you think about that, financial and government and social, it seems right now a lot of those things are crumbling. Just look at it. They are crumbling. They are... you're finding that they're not working, they're being brought into the light, etc. And there's a leveling of the playing field that's happening across the board because we are sourcing energy different from the universe, right? Now, from the financial standpoint, think about your dollar, right? Here, especially in the US, but wherever you are domiciled, the currency that you are used, I'm sure it's the same thing if it's fiat. The dollar has essentially become, in my eyes, basically worthless. Right? If you think about here in the US, like they're saying, oh, everything's gone up, home value, all your stock portfolio, all this other stuff has gone up. It's like, no, not really. To me, it's like the dollar has become worthless, and you're just seeing that happening, being reflected in the valuations of things out in the reality of our world. The dollar's become worthless in my eyes, and if you think about the US debt, $36 trillion in debt has to get monetized somehow, and inflation, and that usually means that the devaluation of your dollar. All right, to me, what we're seeing as well is a currency that's looking to be changed or transitioned to become something different for us to source abundance from the universe, right? If you think about what I talk about with regards to money, money is just energy. It's the flow of energy. We just use it as a human construct to help us logically, in our current structure, be able to source abundance from the universe. It's a very limited way. So when you think about that as well, the currency structure we're going through feels like we are going through a transition to no longer have a fiat-backed control mechanism or currency, which is controlled, that has been controlled by the central banks, the Fed, and other nefarious groups. And you're seeing that kind of play out. One of the things that seems very interesting to me here in the U.S. that shows you signs of the time of us the restructuring us to meet where we are is, the current administration has talked about a sovereign wealth fund that's going to be created in the U.S. What's that to do? What's that? That's kind of new for us, right? That's basically taking assets from the country and quantifying them as an asset to be used for something. Perhaps, maybe it's an asset to be used to back a currency. So, and to be used by the citizens of the U.S., right? There are 90 other countries that have wealth funds worth over $8 trillion. And the interesting stuff that this is playing out at this current time, especially when you have administration that keeps talking about the golden age, right? A very interesting statement to say the golden age, when you're seeing gold rise up, you're seeing the year of the snake, which is usually about, from a Chinese calendar standpoint, a year about prosperity, etc. It's a very interesting, higher energetic, spiritual energy that seems to be playing out with regards to this particular thing with the sovereign wealth fund, right? You also have people talking about the idea of digital currencies and the trust. Well, I can't trust digital currency because I don't know how secure they are, how private they are, etc. Let's not forget. Okay, let's not forget that the current structure that we have, which is the banking system, right? The fractionalized banking system that we live in, basically says, hey, you give me $100, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I'm going to hold $10 of that money, and then I'm going to pretend that I hold that $100. But in reality, what's happening is I'm only holding $10, and I'm giving the other $90 out to wherever, whomever, for whatever. Right? Your bank does not hold all your money. That's why you have things called like bank runs, right? You also have things like wire fraud or bank hacks. How secure is that information, right? And what else do banks do besides as an institution that has centralized your money, fiat money? They take money off the top through fees, off your hard-earned money, and sometimes it takes a long time for you to either get your money, to transfer your money, to process your money, or whatever, right? So what we're seeing, especially with cryptocurrency, and I'm not a cryptocurrency expert, I'm just saying it seems like there's a leveling out that's happening in the energetic field for sourcing abundance, which is no longer centralized and controlled by a few. It is being leveled out, of which you have access to become like your own bank in a sense, okay? And the blockchain technology makes it far more secure and readily accessible, transferable, and not manipulated in a sense that perhaps there will be currencies that are backed by things. Maybe if we think about that, that could be a way to put your energy and your power into versus the lower vibrational fear stuff that's been promoted out there in general. So what it feels, like I said, with this financial stuff, it feels like the middleman is being removed, and what is coming is something better for all of us, so that it makes it quicker, it makes it more secure, more accessible, something that will align with the age of Aquarius and all the things I've talked about from an astrology and numerology standpoint to vibrationally match where we are collectively at and heading towards. You may not see it, but the old stuff is collapsing. It is collapsing, and the new stuff is coming out. All right. I talked about this in one of my videos where I shared a vision about a Jeep in a car shop. The old is collapsing. They no longer have the parts to keep your old car running. The new cars are coming out. You will start to see that happening, and it's already happening this year in 2025. All right. Now, you also think about all those control institutional mechanisms that are in the middle, centralized, that have been, that we have been fearful of for a lot of us because they've been promoting it in the old structure, getting us into that direction. It's like you're seeing all these collapsings of control NGOs and non-government organizations or unelected bureaucrats, people associated with the WEF, the WHO, different NGOs, unelected bureaucrats, they're collapsing. It seems like they're being shut down, and you're seeing it in real time. Now, would that happen? If we were to align with the fear stuff that I was all talking about? Would you see these organizations collapsing and no longer having power or transitioning? You probably wouldn't, right? Logically, it just wouldn't make any sense. You would see those things getting more power, and you would see more control mechanisms coming across, but it seems like the opposite is happening, right? In addition to this new timeline, what are we seeing? UFO and intelligent life forces coming out, things just coming to the light, bringing us into a timeline that a lot of us could never have imagined, right? Disclosure, information coming out, perhaps new sources of health and information about your health is starting to come out. Really? It's taken a long time to see people come to their eyes about their food and the things that they intake, and thank God for, the current administration and making America healthy again and the things that are coming about. Without that, we shall see new things, especially with AI. A lot of people align with the negative side of the AI. Yeah, control, make you into a robot, all this other stuff. But perhaps you look at it from a productivity, efficiency standpoint to allow us to make major leaps in technology from energy, from health, but also maybe from the sense of allowing us as creators to not use our time into the low vibrational things of the basic drums of life so that we can experience life doing the things that we want to do. All right? Just something to think about with regards to this manifestation of the spirituality, energetic vibration into the physical, and we're seeing the structures starting to collapse as the new comes in. I want you to think about the Greek term apocalypse, right? The Greek version of that isn't an ending of a world. Maybe it is an ending to someone's world, but it's really the revealing, the unveiling of what has been hidden. All that has been hidden is coming up, and we are seeing that happen collectively across the board. But this also includes you and who you are as a being, as a divine piece of source, right? Which leads me to the third thing that I want to talk about with regards to spirituality and your personal power. I will start by saying this. What I have been hearing in the news from other people, and then it gets kind of like Mockingbird kind of spit out to other people to be used as talking points or whatever. Part of your reality in part is limited by the use of language in the words that are used in the definitions that are attached to those words and phrases that's being used. I say this all the time. Be careful with what you say, because when you speak, you are in command of your reality. You are casting a spell onto yourself and onto your reality, which is why when you write things or letters on paper, what do you call it? You are spelling the words of your intention, of your creation. Be careful with what you say and what things you take on from a spell or language into your reality. Because the language I'm hearing that many are engaging in, especially from the MSM, mainstream media, you are being bombarded with potent, visceral language, vibrational energy that's intent on defining your reality into this particular lower dimension. Think about this. Think about the word coup, crisis, war, Nazi, fascist, whatever. It is undoubtedly making its way into your vibration, becoming part of what you create in your reality. And it has a tendency to help you define your reality based on those powerful, potent energy, which is grotesquely filtered with fear. Those words, are they loving? Are they connective? Are they whole and peaceful? No, they are not. Now, think about yourself as this. You are a powerful energy cell. You are a creator. You choose where you want to put your energy into. How you choose to source, how do you choose to create is really up to you. And if you take the worst words, you digest, you take that energy into you, it becomes part of your vibrational match. And you focus on all the worst things, the worst timelines. What do you think is going to manifest in your reality? Do you really want to manifest the absolute worst thing for you? Is that how you want to use your energy? Is that how you want to use your creation, your power given to you by God, Source, the oneness? I don't think you do. I don't think any of that leads to what you really want, which is love, connection, peace, none of that. So be absolutely mindful when you're listening to stuff and you're feeling all that energy, especially in your lower chakras of your root, your sacral, your power center, and you are just viscerally using your throat chakra to communicate something that isn't really true, that's your choice in reality. And I think you need to be mindful of how powerful you are. Right? I say that in my book. You know, do you really want to manifest the worst thing for you? Is that really where you want to make life happen for you? I don't think you do. I just feel like your energy would be better used for things that are more, you know, peaceful for you. Not to say that we are spiritually bypassing reality. We can have an acknowledgement of what's happening, but that doesn't necessarily mean for you to say, all right, I'm going to internally take this on and make it part of my reality. You can observe it, you can be part of the world, but you don't have to be of the world. You can look at it, you can acknowledge it, and you can say, I choose to transmute my energy in a different way. One that is more loving, more beneficial, more productive for me in my own little world, which in effect goes out to the reality. Do not vibrationally, as a resonance tuning fork, take on that energy and allow that energy to continue to go out into the rest of the collective. Stop it. Be you, right? You know, it's the same thing was healing your own ancestral karma. Be the one to heal the karma so it doesn't keep passing along. Be the one to heal yourself, to know who you are, to not take on this stuff so that you don't have to pass this on to other people as well. All right? There is a real virus out there. Now, we went to the emergency room recently, and I could tell you that I was talking to the nurse on duty, and she was saying, we have never been as busy. There are all these viruses, all these things are happening, blah, blah, blah. And for sure, there's things happening out there. But I would say the real virus right now is fear. Fear is the real virus. Don't let it grip you. Don't let it twist you. All right? So with regards of all this, regarding to the previous 2 points that I made, I will leave you with these last parting things, right? The natural flow of things is spirit to matter. Higher energy, right? Spirit to matter. Not matter to spirit. Spirit is what commands matter. Remember this. Spirit is what commands matter. Spirit is akin to the idea of order and form, right? And matter is akin to the idea of chaos, okay? If you focus on spirit, if you focus on the matters of spirit, form is what is created through matter, okay? Spirit brings form to matter. Spirit brings order to chaos. When you focus on matter, when you focus on chaos, your reality becomes chaotic. It becomes about materialism. That is why when you focus on those things, your reality is never satisfying when you solely focus on just materialism. It's constantly chaotic, right? When you're only focused on the materialistic things and money and expensive stuff and cars and blah, 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 it's never satisfying. It's chaotic. The world of chaos, the world of matter can only make sense through the form of spirit. So as we go through these times, focus on spirit. Focus on that which is you and connected to all things, because matter will align and become form in order to your spirit. All right. As such, many of people will come face to face with their matter, materialistic, chaos-focused realities. It will collapse on them. It will collapse on them because they have it backwards. All right? And the natural flow of things is to go from lower density to higher density, right? And spirit is what controls the lower densities. It controls form. You will see more people going through heartache. You will see more people going through intense shifts, because this is going to be the cleanest, direct path to source, to God, to oneness. The pain of the reality will awaken them to who they are so that they can return to their knowledge of their connection to God or source, whatever you want to call it. So remember how powerful you are. Remember and choose to use your power differently than your old self. We are at a different vibrationally speaking. You are sourcing from the universe in a much different way. I share numerous examples and ways of how powerful you are in my book. Go buy it if you haven't. Go buy that book. Go find love. Go find connection. And remember that you are always connected to God, source, the great oneness. Because when you do that in spirit, you remember within that energetic space, comfort, the knowing of how loved you are, to know that you're okay, that you can let go, you can surrender, you can be in trust and love. And within you, as you walk through your space, reality blends and manifests to that state of being. And that, my friends, my dear brothers and sisters, is going to help you move through this time period. Okay? I hope that helps you. I love you. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.